Hello there, welcome back to my channel and welcome to 2022's Sunless tanning video. I have done at least 4 or 5 of these types of videos and I will link the others in the description box below. Every year I feel like I am always trying something new. I'm always looking for an even better sunless tanner. So this year I have been testing out different products, some for the face, some for the body, and some instant tan products as well. So I'm gonna go through those with you quickly. I have detailed notes that I have been taking as I have tested each one of these, just trying to put all of them on an even playing field, give you the same information about each so that you can decide which one might fit best for your needs. Now at the end, I'm also going to just briefly run through how these compare with my previous favorites, because I feel like that is actually helpful for you to know, do I rank these above those favorites or not? I also have a couple of extra tools that I feel like are helpful and some extra tips. So with all of that we need to cover, we better get started. If you're new here, be sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos in the future. And now let's get started. Okay, as we jump into this, I'm going to start off with the body sunless tanning products that I've been using. For all of these, I prepped my skin the same way, and I will talk about that in a little bit. But I always exfoliate. I did not apply any body moisturizer or lotion. I wanted to see how these felt on the skin because they all say they are supposed to be hydrating and you don't need to apply a lotion beforehand. So starting off, the first one that I tested out is a brand that I had tried last year and actually loved a lot of things about it, but I hated how long it took to dry, etc. So that is the brand Bondi Sands. Well, this year I tried 2 from this brand. This first one is the Aerated Self-Tanning Foam 1 Hour Express. Yes, we all want to get our tan as fast as possible. So that was the first thing that I was intrigued by. This can is 7.6 ounces. It retails for $29. I purchased mine at Ulta. Now the claims on this are that it is touch dry in seconds, effortless streak-free application, long-lasting tan in just 1 hour. Talk about that. Hydrates and nourishes skin, fresh coconut scent, never streaky, never orange, and it provides natural looking flawless dark tan quickly and easily. So the scent on it is fabulous. It does smell like coconut and I love the scent. This aerated foam is definitely the way to go. I'm finding more and more brands doing this. What that means is it comes out in a foam, but it has a lot of air in it, so it makes it dry really fast. Now, because it dries so fast, I have found that you do need to use a special type of mitt with these types of products, and I'll talk more about this at the end. But I found that mitt last year with one of my other favorites, and it worked well to apply this. Now, this does have a guide color, and the guide color is that kind of green-gray base. On this particular one, I did not find it to be overly dark and green. When you apply this, that guide color is not orange, which a lot of you will appreciate, but for me, on my skin tone, it does look a little odd. So it's not my favorite guide color if I'm going to be tanning and then going out and doing shopping or whatever. Now, as far as does it transfer to clothes or sheets? Yes, but just a tiny little bit. Now the application notes that 1 hour tan. What that means is after 1 hour, you can rinse this off and then go about your day and the color will continue to develop. However, if you want the darkest amount of color with this product, you need to leave it on for at least 3 hours. Now, what a lot of people misconstrue is that means you're going to be tan within 1 to 3 hours. No, you do not have hardly any color when you rinse it off. You're not going to have your full color developed for 24 hours. Now, once that color developed, I found like with 1 coat of this, I did have a pretty good, for me, more of a medium dark tan. So it wasn't the deepest tan, but it was a good amount of color. But however, within 7 days, it was pretty much all gone. I did find that this one wore off gradually. It was not patchy, so I really appreciated that. Now, as far as does the guide color get splotchy if it's splashed with water? Yes, it does. So that's just something to be aware of. As you're going about your day, you are going to need to be a little bit careful as you're washing your hands. If you splash water on your arm, you're going to see a spot there. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to interrupt your tan, how it looks the next day, but your guide color can end up looking a little bit spotty. Now, I always like to take note of how these apply to the hands and the feet. I felt like this applied well to both, but my feet did end up being just a little bit darker because I left on the tan for the full time on my whole body and my feet. My hands, I washed off after 30 minutes, so I didn't have that issue of my hands being darker. Now, the second time I applied this, I did a second application within about 30 minutes after the first application. And when I did that, I felt like it did take a little bit longer to dry down. It was a little bit tackier, but not bad. It did end up drying down. I felt like it was comfortable. However, that second layer did add a little more of that green tint to my skin. But the results were my color was noticeably darker and the color lasted for at least 8 days. Moving on now to another product by Bondi Sands. This is the Aerated Self-Tanning Foam Ultra Dark. So the difference between these, the main difference is this is one that you can wash off within 1 to 3 hours, but it only comes in one shade. This is one that you need to leave on your skin for more than 6 hours, but it does come in multiple shades. So I chose Ultra Dark, and this is an aerated version of one I had tried last year. This was the Ultra Dark Tanning Mousse from last year, but the aerated version means that it dries a little bit quicker. And that was one of the things that I hated from last year's version. So I was excited to try this. All right, so the notes on this is again, 7.6 ounces, $29. I bought it also from Ulta. This says easy, fast drying application develops in 6 to 8 hours, hydrates and nourishes skin. Streak-free application, can apply a second coat after 30 minutes. Well, that was something I discovered last year with the previous version, and I loved that option. So I was really excited about that. The scent is the same as the previous one. It's coconut. It smells wonderful. There's none of that horrible chemically scent. As far as how it applied, it did dry much faster than last year's. I mean, it really dried super fast, but not quite as fast as the 1 Hour Express. Now with this one, I also needed to use the special mitt to try and blend it in, but I did struggle to get kind of what appeared to be an even coat, especially under the arms. So that was kind of a new thing with me, partly because it dried so quickly, but I felt like also the guide color on this one is a little bit darker than the 1 Hour Express. And so it showed more if it wasn't blended in evenly. However, the good news is my tan turned out really nice and evenly, except I did have a little bit of an issue under the arms. Now, as far as how it felt on the skin, so it did still feel kind of tacky after the first coat, but then I did go in with a second coat, and when I did that, I felt like it stayed tacky for quite a while. It did transfer a little bit more than the 1 Hour Express onto sheets and areas like under the arms where you're kind of sweating maybe a little bit, any water or anything like that. I did feel like that guide color transferred. The good news was though, everything came out of my sheets, my towels, my shirts, all of that. So it did not permanently stain anything. Now, as far as the depth of color, the one coat color is pretty good. It's a little bit darker, I feel like, than this one is with one coat especially, but 2 coats gave me really good depth of color. It's actually the kind of depth of color that I prefer during the summertime. The one coat, I did not have hardly any color left by 7 days, so kind of the same as the 1 Hour Express. The 2 coats, however, I felt like I still had enough color on my skin to want to wear like short sleeve shirts and everything. So it wasn't quite as dark, but I did feel like it did wear off pretty naturally, except for around the hands and the feet, it starts looking maybe a little bit patchy. But the rest of it, I felt like it wore off and faded really nicely. It did, again, have that splotchy effect if you got any water on it, and even more so because the guide color is darker with this one. So I also felt like this one, especially after that second coat, I looked like a green lizard, and this was not something I even wanted to go out of my house in. And because you need to leave it on for at least 6 hours, it's a little bit tricky to kind of figure out how to do that. So this is definitely one you're going to want to do while you're at home. If you do it overnight, be aware you are going to get a little bit of transfer onto your sheets. Now, the additional note with this one is the second time I used it, I did not want to remain sticky and tacky overnight. Well, I didn't apply it early enough in the day, and so I thought, you know what? It's been a good 5 hours since my second coat. I'll rinse it off. I noticed a significant difference in the depth of color the next day. So you definitely need to leave your first coat and your second coat on for more than 6 hours in order to get your full depth of color. So overall, it did though give me a really nice, deep, warm tan. Once I rinsed off that guide color, I was super happy, and the color did last well after 2 coats for a full 7 to 8 days. All right, moving on to a new brand that I had no experience, no knowledge of before this year. They actually sent me a whole kit with all of their products, and it is the brand Coco and Eve. I love it's called Sunny Honey. And this is the BALI Bronzing Foam. I also have a face product and a tool that I'll talk about, but this bronzing foam is for the body. I chose ultra dark, you know I did. The size on this is 6.7 ounces. It retails for $34.90, and you can get this directly on their website. I'm not sure if this brand is sold anywhere else. I haven't seen it on Ulta's website or anything. But what this says, the claims are that it has cellulose shape formula infused with raw virgin coconuts, botanicals, and amino acids to hydrate and firm skin, enriched with mandarin oil, fig, banana, papaya, and cocoa to help improve signs of aging, blurs pigmentation, and perfect skin. Green-gray base, tuck that piece of information away, for a natural golden glow with no orangey tones. Lightweight, non-sticky formula, fast drying, develops in just 2 hours. The scent on this is a tropical scent. They say it is mango and guava. And I would say I do smell that guava. It's not my favorite. I prefer the coconut scent, but it's not bad, and it does dissipate very quickly. Now, as far as how this applies, because it doesn't dry as quickly as the previous two, you do have a little more time to work, but you do want to be careful not to apply too much, because if you apply too much, then it will take a little extra time to dry down. But I felt like it blended into the skin well. It did, however, remain tacky for about 2 hours. And then after that, I felt like I didn't hardly even notice it on the skin. Now, the first time I applied it, I only did 1 coat, and I felt like the guide color, even though it has that green-gray base, did not look as lizardy green or odd as the previous ones did. However, I did the second time apply 2 coats. I waited about an hour and then applied a second coat of this, and I had that lizardy green look to where I really did not want to even step out the door. As far as if this transferred onto sheets or clothes, I did not have any transfer on my sheets, which is a really good thing. I did have a little bit of transfer under the arms where I probably did a little sweating during the day, but again, the guide color rinsed off fine from my clothes. The depth of color, after 1 coat, it was really good. And in fact, I feel like 1 coat of this was the darkest of probably all the ones that I tried this time. After 2 coats, it was fantastic. 1 coat lasted, the color lasted about 5 days. With 2 coats, I was still going strong after 8 days. The only thing that had really worn off was on my hands, and ironically, it was when I had traveled to go see my parents. So I was doing lots and lots of hand washing, so it didn't surprise me that after about 5 or 6 days, my hands were like looking completely white, but the rest of me still had a lot of good color. Now, this said it has fast developing color, and that is absolutely true. Of all the ones that I've tried, this one develops your tan the fastest. I'll talk more in a moment of how I apply Sunless Tanner to my hands, but I always rinse it off after 30 minutes, and I could see color on my hands already within that 30 minutes after rinsing it off. So this develops so much quicker than the others, and because of that, even though it has a strong guide color and will show a little bit of splotchiness if you get water splashed on it, because the color underneath is developing so much quicker, I feel like those spots are a lot less noticeable if they do occur. Okay, the last one that I just tried and is actually what I am wearing today, plus one other product I'll explain, is a new shade of the TANCEUTICALS self-tanning body lotion. I'm just going to quickly run through this. I have mentioned this brand in my previous video, so I'm not going to go into tons of detail, but I tried the extreme dark, and I wanted to touch on that because it is $2 more than the ultra dark, which is what I used before. So basically, the size of this tube is 4.2 ounces. It retails for $29.95. but the lighter shades are $27.95. This is infused with argan oil, mango butter, and pomegranate extract to moisturize, repair, and firm your skin. It has a wonderful coconut scent. The lotions do not have a guide color, so I wanted to try this again. It had been a while since I had tried the lotion version. So no guide color, but it is still super easy to blend in and get a nice even tan with no streaks. And because there is no guide color, you don't have to worry about any artificial dyes or anything getting on your clothing or your sheets. So if you are somebody who likes to do your sunless tanning at night especially, take note of the no guide color. Now, this is easy to apply. It does remain feeling like you've applied kind of a thicker body lotion on your body for about 1 to 2 hours. After that mark, I feel like it has dried down to where you don't notice it. It's not feeling tacky anymore. It does take a full 24 hours before you get your full color, and you do need to leave it on for at least 7 to 8 hours before rinsing it off. But as I said, this one is super comfortable and you don't have to worry about any odd colors or anything like that. So I feel like this one's easy to wear all day if you like to do your tanning when you're out and about or whatever. As far as the wear time on the TANCEUTICALS lotions in general, for me personally, I feel like they wear well up until about 5 to 6 days maybe, and then they do fade pretty fast. So I don't feel like I get quite a full week's worth out of them. As far as now the color, this extreme dark, I was actually kind of disappointed because I did not feel like this was any darker than the ultra dark. So, however, that being said, I did apply a second coat the next day, and I felt like the color that I got was a really nice deep bronze. So overall, I am pleased with the color. I love this formulation. It has great ingredients. I love the color, the tone of the tan, and it is something I'm definitely going to keep using, but I just know that even the extreme dark, I'm still going to need to apply a second coat to get that full color that I want. Also, I feel like this one fades really fast on your hands. So this is one that I feel like I need to reapply to the hands or apply something else to the hands to keep my hands looking a little bit tan throughout the week. All right, let's move into face sunless tanners. I get lots of questions about this, and no, I do not use the same sunless tanner on my body that I use on my face. There are lots of reasons for this. The main one being that I have super sensitive skin, but also I feel like the kind of depth of color that you're gonna get on a body sunless tanner, I feel like that is so much more potent than you need on your face. Your face skin is just a little more delicate, and I like to use a sunless tanner that is face specific. So the first one that I tried out this year was by COCO and Eve. These are the bronzing face drops, and this is 1 ounce and it retails for $27.90. This was a part of the whole kit that I received from the brand. This is a gradual bronzed natural looking glow. Comes from 100% natural DHA, and it has coconut water, hyaluronic acid, and dragon fruit. Now, I didn't really feel like there was much of a scent with this at all. And the way you use this is you add 2 to 3 drops to your moisturizer, morning or night. I use this at night. Blend it in, and then by the next day, you should see some kind of glow. The key, I think, is gradual. And with this one, unfortunately, it was so gradual that even after 2 days in a row of using this, I only had the slightest little tint on my skin. So for me, when I do a face sunless tanning regime, I want to be tan like the next day. Because I use retinols and other things, I feel like if it takes me 3 or 4 days to get tan, by the time I get tan, it's going to be coming off because I'm using those exfoliating products and all of that. So it's not a bad product. It did not break me out, but I just don't feel like you get enough color for this to be worthwhile. The second sunless tanning product for the face that I actually started using kind of at the end of last summer is the Tarte Braziliance. This is the overnight mask, and it also is a gradual self tanner. So this one has some really good ingredients. It is gentle on the skin, but this one you're going to apply instead of your moisturizer. And when I apply a sunless tanner like this, I actually skip all of my other face steps. So I do my face toning and then go right in with the sunless tanner for the face. And this one gives me some color after just one use. And so I appreciated that. I did like that. It did not break me out. But again, I kind of wanted a little more color so that I didn't have to use it more than 1 day in a row. This one is 1 fluid ounce, and I'll have to put across the screen. I didn't make my notes of how much this one costs, but I'll put across the screen the price of this one. So overall, it's a good product, and it did smell nice, but I have something else that I prefer more, and that is the TANCEUTICALS CC Face Tanning Lotion. Now, I have used this and loved it for several years. Since I first tried this brand, I still feel like it is the best at giving your face the tan that it needs in one application. This is 1.7 ounces and it retails for $21.95. So it's the cheapest, you get the most product, and you get a tan overnight. Now, this year I thought I'm going to be brave and I'm going to try the ultra dark, because previously I was only using the dark and that gave me enough color for me. So I thought, you know what, I'm doing the extreme dark on the body, let's try the ultra dark. This is actually a little too much color for me. I will pop in a picture on the screen of what my skin looked like after one use of this. You can see it's so dark, and you'll notice I don't apply it under the eyes or on my eyelids. The advantage of using a sunless tanner on the face is to give it at least a little bit of color so that when I apply foundation, I don't need to apply a full coverage foundation to match what's going on my neck. Through the winter time, I usually don't use any sunless tanner on my face. If I've used something on my body, I'll just deepen the tone or the shade of my foundation to match my neck. So overall, highly recommend the TANCEUTICALS Face Tanning Lotion. I would just recommend going a shade lighter than you do with your body sunless tanner, and I think you'll be just as happy. But again, this has great ingredients. It has that coconut scent, and it is really gentle on those of us with sensitive skin. All right, let's move into some instant tan products. The first instant tan product I was really interested in because it's the brand of one of my favorites from last year, and it's BALI Body. This is Instant Tan Airbrush. Now, when I bought it, there was only one shade available, which was light medium. However, just recently they've come out with medium dark, which I'm like, ooh, I think I would have liked to try that one. But the details on this is 3.28 ounces. It is an aerosol can and it retails for $24.95. The claims are that you achieve bronzed, smooth, and flawless skin instantly. It's like Instagram filter in a bottle. So that was really interesting to me, because how many of you have ever had that moment where you need to wear a dress and you look down and your legs are white as can be and you're like, oh no, I forgot to do Sunless Tanner yesterday. So I thought, okay, we all need to have a product like this on hand, right? So a couple of details. The scent on this is kind of light and fresh. It's not my favorite, but I feel like it dissipates really quickly. It dries super fast, like less than 1 minute. When you put this on your skin and rub it in, it is almost instantaneously dry. So I love that. It also is very water and sweat resistant. And because it is so resistant to water, you're gonna need soap and water to actually get it off. I also found that it did not rub off at all on my sheets, but on my clothes, I did have some rubbing under the arms where there was some moisture. So if you're somebody who sweats at night, you're probably going to want to wash this off before you get into bed. And I would say products like this aren't the best to wear when you're wearing white, because you are going to see some transfer. However, I felt like with this product overall, there was minimal transfer. Now, I used this before filming one of my recent Sunday songs, and I was so impressed with how even and flawless my skin looked, because I had not had time to do my sunless tanning the day before. I was planning to do it the next day, but I needed to film. I was looking a little splotchy. I'm like, okay, let's give this a try. Put it on. It worked amazingly well. However, as far as the application goes, it is an aerosol spray. So I was really hesitant because, I mean, we've all spray painted things, right? What do you have? You have overspray. And there is just no avoiding overspray with a product like this. I did spray it first while I stood in my shower, sprayed it on my arms, and I had a layer of overspray in my white tub that I could only get out with actually my cleaner or soap and water. It did not even rinse out. So that made me really pause about wanting to spray this even while I was standing at the sink. So what I ended up finding the best way to apply it was to spray it onto a tanning mitt first and then rub it in. Even still, I had a little bit of overspray on the counter, but it was not as much as if you were to go in and spray first and then rub it in. But overall, I was pleased with the results. This is definitely something I will keep on hand for those times when I just need an instant tan. And like I said, overall, I felt like it dried so fast and you did not feel that it remained tacky at all on your skin. The other instant glow product, I'll say glow, it does give you some color, but it's more about the glow, is the NATASHA DENONA Body Glow. And I have the shade Dark. Now, I got this on the BoxyCharm website during one of their pop-up sales, and I had no idea how much this product retails for. Oh my goodness. All right, it's 1.69 ounces and it retails for $55. What? I did not even realize that till today when I was looking up all this stuff, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is like gold in a bottle. It does in fact say it has high quality pearls in it, so maybe that's why it's so expensive. This does come in 3 shades, but the darkest shade I chose because I thought when I use a product like this, it's usually because I want to add a little bit of color. Now, what it says on the NATASHA DENONA website is that this is her secret mixture that she would use on clients just to give their body kind of that extra glow. It says you can achieve a no glitter, healthy glowing skin effect, won't dry out the skin, water and sweat resistant. And the way that they tell you to apply this is after your body lotion. So it's not a lotion, it's more of, well, let me just show you because I think it's easier to see. It is almost like a serum type product, and it has sheerness to it, so it's not completely opaque color, but you can see it added just a hint of color, but just a really nice little bit of glow to the skin. Now, this is the product that I applied over my Sunless tanner today. So I took some pictures of what my tan looked like before I applied this and then what it looked like after. And so you can just see a slight little tone difference. And this actually adds like a little bit almost of a reddish tint, but I feel like it looks really super natural. And the skin does not have any glitter whatsoever, but it just looks nice and healthy and glowing. And more importantly, it has no stickiness, no tackiness. And except for maybe under the arms, if you start sweating, this has very minimal transfer to clothes. So it is a really great product, and it is water resistant to where you do have to use soap and water to get it off in the shower. So when I step in, I always look down to see if there's any brown water coming off, and there is none that comes off with this until you use soap. So this is a fantastic product. It's a fantastic kind of extra just to make your tan look extra great. This would be a great product like if you're in a wedding. I don't know if you're a bride, if you're gonna wanna wear this with a white dress, but if you're a bridesmaid or you're the mother of the bride or something and you just want your skin to look extra glowy and healthy, this is definitely a product I would look into. It is pricey, so it's one of those special occasion kind of extras, but I really love it. So overall, I would say, except for the face drops from Coco and Eve, I would actually recommend any one of these Sunless tanners. I think my favorite maybe that I've tried is this one by Coco and Eve, just because the color develops so much quicker. And with 2 coats, I feel like it lasted the longest. Now, as far as how those compare with some of my previous favorites, let me just show you a couple of my previous favorites so that if the information I shared, you're kind of like, I don't really like that, I don't really like that, let me share a couple of other options with you. So Sol by Jergens, this is what I would say is my year-round sunless tanning option. I get it in the deep shade. This is a water mousse. There's no artificial dyes. It has really good ingredients. It has coconut water, passion fruit essence, and DHA from natural sugars. It has a fresh kind of tropical scent, and it retails for $20.49. I know Jergens is a drugstore brand, but man, is this getting pricey. But this is my go-to all through the winter and even early spring, late fall, when I want some color but don't feel like I need to be super tan, and I want to apply it and just completely forget about it the rest of the day. This dries very quickly after you apply it, and because there's no dyes or anything, you don't have to worry about it getting on your clothes. This is one that I feel like you don't have to be particularly careful about what clothes you're wearing through the day. It will just continue to develop, and the next day you'll have a nice amount of color. You can apply it a second time and you will get a little more color, but through the winter time, I feel like once a week, I'll apply this, throw it on, and go about my day. And then I just have a nice little bit of color. Now, the other one from the drugstore that I will still always have on hand, that I always still recommend if you're somebody who's just getting started, or you say, Shirley, my budget can't afford a $20+ sunless tanner, is the Jergens Instant Sun. Flawless, natural looking color instantly. I get the deep bronze. And this one has a guide color, but the guide color is actually what I wish these other ones had. It's a very light tan look, and it will actually give you a little bit of instant color. So if you want to tan while you go about your day, this is not going to look strange. I also feel like this one has a pretty good wear time. It's about 5 days or so before it's significantly faded. And if you apply it twice in one day, I have a whole video about how I do that with this one. But if you apply it twice within one day, the next day I have a really good, decent dark tan. And I feel like even the scent on this is very light. It doesn't have an awful chemically smell. The price is right on this. So if you're looking for a good drugstore option that gives you a decent amount of color and is pretty user-friendly, then I would say start off with this one. Now, the other one that was actually in my year-end favorites that I discovered last year is the BALI Body 1 Hour Express. And in fact, I just have a tiny little bit of this left. I'm planning to repurchase this, but I still really love this. I highly recommend it. It dries even faster than the Bondi Sands 1 Hour Express. So I tried these. I tried one on half of my body and the other on the other half. And so I was able to really compare color, how it felt, all of that. And I felt like this one, even though it has that kind of green base tint to the guide color, it's not as apparent as the Bondi Sands. It has the same principle that you can wash it off within 1 hour, 1 to 3 hours, depending on depth of color. And also, I feel like this one works well if you want to reapply a second coat within an hour, 30 minutes to an hour, you can get an even darker amount of color. You aren't going to see your color develop until the next day, kind of same thing. But I feel like because this one dries a smidge faster, feels a little more comfortable. That's why this one kind of rises to the top a little bit above this one. But the scent on this is actually better. But everything else, I love just a smidge more with this one. Okay, to finish out this video, I want to give you a few final tips and show you a couple of tools that are very helpful. Okay, first of all, I'm going to show you the mitt, the special mitt that I discovered last year, which I needed in order to blend in this BALI Express, and which I found really worked well with any of the aerated foams. And that is this mitt. This is from Rolls, and found this on Amazon. It comes in a kit with an exfoliating glove and then a smaller one you can use for your face. You might think, like I did, that all tanning mitts are created equal, but they're not. The difference is this has more of an actual velvet feel. So what seems to happen is instead of kind of absorbing some of the product like what happens on your traditional mitts, I feel like this allows the product kind of to stay on the surface of this so that you have a little more time to blend in the product. The traditional mitt seemed to almost absorb a little bit of this product and make it dry even quicker, so I couldn't get it blended in. But with this mitt, I find that it blends in well. I've had this for a whole year and it's still going strong. All you need to do is wash this with a little soap and water, and you want to just make sure though that your water is just warm to slightly cool. Don't use hot water because that's what will destroy this nice plastic lining that is on the inside. The second tool I get asked about so often is, Sharalee, how do you do your back? Honestly, I don't do my back every week because I don't wear very many tops that show my back. I can reach to about right there, and that's usually pretty much good enough. But on those rare occasions, whether I'm going to be going to the pool or I'm wearing a fancy dress, I have found that a back applicator like this has worked well. What you do, okay, I better fold it so you can actually see the whole thing. This one is from Coco and Eve. I've used one before that was from TANCEUTICALS. And this is kind of that tanning mitt material. It has these handles that are elastic, and what you do, you can even use this for lotion. You put a little bit of your product right here and then put it behind your back and you rub it on your back. Now, it still does take a little bit of kind of trial and error, and you're looking in the mirror to make sure you got it everywhere, but this has been the only way that I've been able to get sunless tanner in the middle of my back where I can't reach. Recently, I watched Dominique and her sunless tanning video, and she had a great idea. If you already own a back brush that you use to exfoliate, you can just put a tanning mitt over that and put maybe a hair tie to hold it on, and then just use that to put on your sunless tanning. So I think that is a fabulous idea. Also, I just don't happen to have a back exfoliator already. Now, the other tool that is invaluable to apply sunless tanner to your hands is a brush. And I have loved and used for years this e.l.f., what is this called? Foundation blurring brush. It is somewhat dense, rounded bristles. I have actually shown how I apply it to the hands in a previous video, so check that out. But you just apply this. This allows you to work it into your knuckles, into all the crevices. It also works well on your feet. So highly recommend just getting an inexpensive brush like this. And again, just rinse it out with soap and water. I don't even do that every time, but soap and water every so often just to clean it out. But it's a super easy way to help you get an even layer on your hands and feet. All right, now as we move into the final kind of category for this video, which is final tips for application, I'm going to start off by showing you the one tool you must get. It's equivalent with a tanning mitt in my frame of thinking, and that is the Saint Tropez Tan Remover Mitt. Now, I first got this because I thought, oh, this will be great just to help remove kind of some areas on the ankles or whatever where you get a little splotchy. If you get any oops, that's what I thought this was only used for. Oh my goodness, no. This has become the replacement for all of my body scrubs, any exfoliating product that I thought I needed to buy before. No, it's all been replaced by this $6.50 mitt. When I first got this, I felt it and I thought, that's not going to do anything. It's made from a thin kind of sheer material, but I put water on it and a little bit of my normal body wash and went to town scrubbing, and holy moly, you can get the deepest scrub that you want with just this little mitt. And my first mitt lasted me probably for about 1.5 years. This is only the second one I purchased. And I've tried a different brand's version of this. This, in my opinion, is the best. So what this does, not only can you use it like if you got a little crazy and didn't get your Sunless tanner wiped off your elbows, you can use that to help scrub that off. But I find this is most beneficial on that day when you are prepping your skin to apply Sunless tanner. This will remove almost all of the remnants of what Sunless tanner is remaining on your skin, especially around your feet and ankles and toes. That area always collects just the extra little bits of Sunless tanner, and this will get it all off. So I use this in the shower. After I've shaved my legs, I will then put my body wash on this and go over all of my skin and exfoliate really well. So in order to prep for sunless tanning, you need to, number 1, shave. Number 2, exfoliate. Number 3, you want to dry off your skin. And if you're using any of these products that I've used, you do not need to apply a body lotion. Now, if you have super dry skin, you may go ahead and apply a thin layer of a light moisturizer first, then go in with the Sunless tanner. Otherwise, go right to the Sunless tanner, apply with the mitt as I recommended. And the next thing that's super important, you do want to let it dry as long as possible before getting dressed. I have a swimsuit cover up that's loose that I'll put on while I'm putting on my makeup. And then when I get dressed for the day, the next thing, it's really important to choose clothing that is loose and that is not going to cut into your sunless tanner as it develops. Much like would happen if you went out in the sun with a short sleeve shirt on and you got a farmer's tan, right? Something similar can actually happen with sunless tanning. If you have clothing that's rubbing, that's like super tight around your arm, and through the day you're rubbing, you're gonna end up with a line there. So you don't want that. Same with the legs. Don't put on sunless tanner and then put on compression tights or your super skinny jeans. You're gonna end up with a seam down the inside of your leg, and that's not pretty. And if you're going to do your sunless tanning overnight, give yourself a couple of hours to let it dry and kind of melt into your skin before you get into bed. Just because you want that product to be somewhat drier when you get in bed before you're kind of pushing your legs together or you're sleeping kind of funny, it can affect how the tan looks when you wake up in the morning. Also, skip wearing your watch on the day that you are sunless tanning, because otherwise you will end up with a white patch here where your watch was through the day. Is for those of you that have some prominent age spots that you're concerned about with applying a sunless tanner. Most sunless tanners are going to darken age spots. Be aware of that. The one sunless tanner that I feel like is the most forgiving and really only maybe subtly darkens them is the Sol by Jergens Water Mousse. This is the most forgiving, so if you have lots of age spots that you're concerned about, start off with this one. But if you've applied any of these others and you just have a couple of age spots that are a little more concerning to you, take a Q-tip with a little bit of witch hazel or water will also work. And after you've applied the Sunless tanner, immediately take that Q-tip and go over that age spot and remove the Sunless tanner from that spot. Then let the rest of your tan develop, and the next day you will notice very little change in that age spot color, whereas the rest of your skin will be nicely dark. I mentioned the hand washing after 30 minutes. Now this is super important because the skin on our hands is different. It's kind of like the skin on your elbows, your knees. It's going to grab that sunless tanner even faster than the rest of your body. So trust me when I tell you, you want to rinse off your hands after 30 minutes. And the last tip that I have been asked about is, what do I do when your sunless tanner is starting to look a little bit patchy? What do you do? Do you scrub it all off and start all over again? Is there a way to kind of repair it, so to speak, to kind of get you through the rest of the week? Well, I will tell you, typically I only want to do sunless tanning once a week. So what I will do with some of these that start wearing off after about 5 days, I will keep on hand a gradual tanner like this Isle of Paradise drops. A lot of people love this as their sole sunless tanner. I don't, because it takes way too many drops to give me color, and I feel like this fades very fast. But I love these drops as kind of a middle of the week sunless tanning boost. So maybe Tuesday night, Wednesday, I'll put about 8 to 12 drops of this in my body lotion for my upper body, and then do the same on my legs if I need to. And by the next day, that will give me enough color to get me to my sunless tanning day when I scrub off the remaining tan. Now, I do have lots of other tips and tricks in my previous videos, so be sure you check the description box for links to those videos, as well as links for all of these products. But in closing, I just want to say, I know it seems like this is a huge process and like it can take hours out of your weeks. I've had people be very critical of me saying, I can't believe you spend all that time doing sunless tanning every week. Trust me when I tell you, when you find the right product and you get in a routine, it might add 20 minutes, maybe 30 to your entire week. That's all. From the time you spend exfoliating to applying to maybe even rinsing it off at the end of the day, maybe 20 to 30 minutes a week. Now, if you think back to those days when, if you were like me, you used to lay out in the sun or go to tanning beds, yes, I did that, to try and get your tan, think about how many hours it took just to get yourself tan, and then how many hours it took to keep that tan up, and then how much damage it did to your skin, my skin. That is why I personally started sunless tanning over 20 years ago, because my dermatologist had to cut out a couple of moles. I had atypical cells, so that scared me straight. No more tanning in the sun for me. And now with all of these amazing products, there truly is a sunless tanner or an instant tanning product that I feel like would fit basically for anybody's needs. Thank you as always so much for watching. I hope that this video was helpful and that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.